Who doesn't love a good, easy meatloaf? They're so comforting. So what I have in this little bowl here is 1 cup of Pepperidge Farm's herb stuffing mix. You can use any kind of stuffing you like. Then I'm going to add milk to it. And I'm only going to add enough to where everything will be absorbed by those breadcrumbs. You don't want it to have a pool at the bottom. So as long as everything in there is softened by the milk, you're good to go. Now what milk does, just like in Italian meatballs, it keeps your meatloaf moist and tender, so it doesn't turn into a hockey puck. That's particularly important since we're making mini meatloaves in a muffin tin. Now, I have a half an onion. This is a sweet onion, but you can use any kind of onion you like, and a box grater. Why grate? Because I'm not going to cook anything that's going into this. And if you just dice them up, your onions will remain hard. Plus this will get it up super fine. It'll grate it up super fine, and then it'll also release a lot of juice. So when I'm done here, I have like between 1/4 cup and 1/3 of a cup of grated onion. And I'm just going to add that to the meat and along with all those juices. That's why I'm using a spatula. Get it in there. Yum, yum, yum. We're just going to make this so flavorful and good. Now, if you know me at all, you know that whenever I buy peppers, if I don't use them, I cut them into strips and put them in the freezer. Perfect for situations like this. And because I'm making mini meatloaves, tongue twister, I'm not going to use a hell of a lot of peppers because I don't want anything falling apart. You want your meatloaf to stay whole when you take it out of the muffin tin. So I'm going to put these little frozen babies in there. And another little tip, because they're frozen, you don't have to cook them. They cook so much faster. Now, here we go with some seasoning. This is garlic salt. Now, you're asking me for measurements. There aren't any. You season to taste. Everybody's taste is different. That's parsley, I recommend. Just dehydrated parsley. And then I'm going to add in some sage. This is a mandatory ingredient. However, be careful. A little goes a long way. So that's probably 1/8 of a teaspoon. I'm going to spread it out. And I'm just going to do just a wee shake more. And then finally, 2 good pinches of pepper and 1 2-finger pinch of salt. So we're going to get that in there, and we are going to add our eggs. So there's 1 egg and 2. Can't beat that with a stick, now can you? So let's get our softened herb stuffing in here. And you can see no milk poured out. You don't want it watery and soupy. So I just mix it around a little bit with my spatula. And then we go in with the good, almost forgot, cheese. This is cheddar cheese, and I'm going to do a good solid cup of cheddar cheese. Not only does this give good flavor, but it also helps keep it moist. Now I'm going to use my old flesh mitts here because there's nothing better to mix with than the hands at the end of your arms. So, however, there's a big to-do about overmix, undermix. So you see me now, once I get it combined, I just fold it and pat it together. Some people say it gets tough. All I know is these turned out perfect. So I didn't overmix, but everything was combined well. Now, muffin tin. All we're going to do here is we're going to take a handful of this meat mixture, plop it into a little muffin tin, and we're going to press it down so that it conforms to the shape of the muffin tin. You don't want any big, like, air bubbles or gaps in there because that'll fall apart and it won't sit on your plate nice. So once I get them all full, I'm going to stick them in the oven at 375 for 20 minutes. And what I did was I put a cookie sheet underneath this pan because there will be some fat from the meat that comes out and spills over the side. This is my famous meatloaf topping sauce. It's the sauce, it's my go-to sauce. I always do it. That's a 1/2 cup of ketchup, 4 ounces of tomato sauce, just regular old tomato sauce, and 2 heaping teaspoons of brown sugar. It just makes a little bit of sweetness to it. Now this is nutmeg. Tip number 2, a little nutmeg can go a long way. It's a bold flavor, but these are all bold flavors, and it's what makes everything so tasty. Now I'm going to add about a 1/2 teaspoon of hot sauce. This is habanero, so I'm using very little of it. You just want a little zing in there. Now I'm going to mix it up. Break up all those lumps. You don't want any lumps of brown sugar. And you just stir it around until it gets dark and delicious. So good. I put this on every meatloaf I make. It doesn't matter what kind. It's just the perfect accompaniment to a meatloaf. Let's check on those mini meatloaves. Look at this. So they've been cooking about 20 minutes. You can see some of the fat is beginning to bubble up out and spread out across that pan and drip. Thank God I had that cookie sheet underneath it. So all I'm going to do here is lay 2 paper towels across the top of it. They are completely sterile, and we're just going to pat it with this little rubber spatula and get up a lot of that oil or fat, whatever you want to call it, because we don't want it to be a big old honking mess. Plus, we don't want to eat fat. Now, I'm going to take my sauce, and we're going to dress the top of these bad boys. Now, these are going to go back into the oven at 375 for an additional 20 minutes. So 40 minutes total cook time. You got to think, if this was a whole loaf, it would take an hour and a half. So here we go. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? All right, let's put it in there. Plus, as it bakes, that's going to caramelize, and it's going to get thicker and richer and just so good. And here's what you get. Mini meatloaf, green beans, and mashed potatoes. I'm telling you what, if that ain't a good dinner, I don't know what is. And the good thing about these mini meatloafs is they save well. Jimmy